Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to 2pPressStart's. I'm your host, GiantKiller, and today we're bringing you part 4 of our Curse of Naxxramas preview. And today we're going to be talking about the reincarnation of the Naxxramas Shaman card Rebirth. Then we'll talk a bit about our prediction for the Naxxramas release date. And then we're going to be bringing you our thoughts and impressions of the latest Curse of Naxxramas card to be leaked by Blizzard, the Voidcaller. First up this week is the reincarnation of Rebirth. On June 3rd, Blizzard's Hearthstone community manager Zaraya tweeted that they'd decided to rename Rebirth to Reincarnate, apparently after receiving a great deal of community feedback reminding them that in World of Warcraft, Rebirth is a druid spell, not a shaman spell. Now, as a Hearthstone player, I can honestly say that I couldn't care less what they call it, but as a commentator, I'm incredibly disappointed by the name change, as it really shuts the door on a lot of great Afterbirth jokes I had planned. Next up is my prediction for when exactly Curse of Naxxramas is going to be released. We've been receiving a lot of questions by email and in the comments of our other videos, and right after how much is this thing going to cost, the next most asked question is definitely, when is this thing going to come out? Well, as of this writing, no official release date has been announced, but we're going to go ahead and make an educated guess. Blizzard had originally announced that Naxxramas would be coming on the heels of the iPad launch, and that's a time that's come and gone. They've since amended that to summer of 2014. Well, summer of 2014 is a pretty broad target, but they've been giving us what appears to be a pretty obvious countdown of sorts by releasing the 9 class-specific Naxxramas cards, 1 per week. For those of you keeping score at home, with the reveal of the Voidcaller this week, we've been shown 7 of the 9 class-specific cards. And that means we've got 2 left to see, the Priest card and the Hunter card. And if we keep on this schedule, we're likely to have seen both of those by about June 19th or 20th. And that's just in time for the official start of summer on June 21st. Now, if you also factor in that game companies historically love to time their events and releases around holidays and holiday weekends in particular, so that gamers can spend their extra time off playing their games, that leaves Blizzard with about a 2-week window to get that first wing of Naxxramas out the door before Independence Day on the 4th of July. So that's my prediction. I believe we're going to see the first wing of Naxxramas released sometime between June 21st, the first day of summer, and July 4th, which is Independence Day here in the US. And now it's time to talk about the new card. This week's revealed card was the Voidcaller, and as you might expect from something with Void in the title, the Voidcaller is the Warlock's class-specific Naxxramas card. The Voidcaller is a 3/4 demon for 4 mana with a very Naxxramas-appropriate Death Rattle effect that puts a demon card from your hand into play when the Voidcaller dies. So while the 3/4 stats for 4 mana is not that great, it makes up for that by providing you with a replacement demon when the Voidcaller kicks the proverbial bucket. Now, before we start getting into some potential combos with the card, let's talk about the text on the card. You're going to notice it doesn't say the word random in the card text, and this image is swiped straight from the Hearthstone Twitter feed. But just like Avenge and the Anubar Ambusher, it has been confirmed by Blizzard that the effect is indeed random. Until very recently, though, the plan had been to leave the word random out of these cards, and the design team's reason for that was that the card's wording would be less complex and more readable without the word random in it, and they justified any potential confusion by saying that players would just figure out how the card worked by playing it in games. Well, that's a design philosophy that I completely disagree with. Using clear, specific language is never a waste of space. A player in a trading card game should never have to guess or debate about how a card works, even in online TCGs where the game handles the rules and interactions for you. But literally, while I was putting this episode together, Blizzard has apparently had a complete change of heart and posted that they're now going to be putting the word random into the text of Avenge, Anubar Ambusher, and now Voidcaller. And they've cited player confusion and a concern for new players' experience as the reasons for this change. And I think those are pretty damn good reasons. So awesome. And kudos to Hearthstone developer Ben Brody for explaining the situation in what I thought was a pretty well put together post on the forums. So making a good call and shedding some light on your decision-making process at the same time, more like by winning. But enough about the language on the card. Let's talk about what we can do with the Voidcaller. First of all, since it's the Voidcaller putting the demon into play, as opposed to you casting the demon from your hand, it lets you get around some of those nasty demon trademark battle cries. So a Voidcaller means you can get your Doomguard or Succubus into play without discarding cards, get out a Flame Imp or a Pit Lord without taking damage, get a Felguard out without losing a Mana Crystal, etc., etc. So, that's a big help, but it's especially awesome in combination with the Doomguard specifically, who can start impacting the board right away thanks to his charge. It's also a lot of fun in combination with the more expensive demons, like Jaraxxus and the Dread Infernal, and don't forget about our good buddy Illidan Stormrage. He's a demon too. In fact, he's the only demon at the moment who's not Warlock specific. Bringing him into play with a Voidcaller for 0 mana leaves your entire turn's worth of mana free to generate a small army of Flames of Azzinoth. So the ideal situation here is one where you cast the Voidcaller, get some value out of the Voidcaller himself, then get an amazing demon into play to replace it. Think about it like a more expensive version of the Harvest Golem that has the potential to replace itself with something way better than a damage golem. It just costs you a card in the process, but that's something that Warlocks are generally okay with. But what if you don't want to wait on your opponent to kill off the Voidcaller? Well, luckily, Warlocks have plenty of ways to sacrifice their own minions for the cause. You can sack the Voidcaller to a sacrificial pact for 5 life, you can burn it up with a Shadow Flame to give you a small sweeper, you can feed it to a Void Terror for a 6/7, you can give it Power Overwhelming for a big swing, or you can just send it flying into the Twisting Nether, which at 8 mana was typically too expensive to let you repopulate your board with anything worthwhile in the same turn. But not so if you had a Voidcaller on the board to help you repopulate. So, there's a lot of potential fun to be had with this card, but I just don't know if I'd call the Voidcaller something particularly strong. The big drawback is it's just a bit too slow. By playing the Voidcaller, you're taking a tempo hit now to get a potential tempo gain later, and that's only really going to work if you've got a great demon in hand to replace him. This guy's obviously going to be best in demon-heavy decks because that Death Rattle is going to be pretty underwhelming if you don't have any demons in your hand when he dies. Without a demon to play when the Death Rattle triggers, he's just a 3/4 for 4 mana, which is pretty terrible. Time will tell, though, if this guy will make his way into any popular decks, especially Zoo decks. Typically, Zoo decks do run at least 6 other demons, but my guess is no. This guy's probably not going to fit into most Zoo decks because he's just a bit too slow for Zoo. So, that's it for what I think about Voidcaller, but I'd love to hear what you think about the Voidcaller. Let us know what your view is on the card's value, and especially let us know if you've spotted an awesome Voidcaller combo that we've missed. And that's it for episode 4 of our Naxxramas preview. Thanks so much for watching, and we really hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions you'd like to see answered, or anything else you'd like to see addressed in a future Naxxramas video, please let us know with a comment or a PM. And as always, if you like our videos, please hit that subscribe button to become a part of the always growing, always awesome 2P Press Start family. And we'll keep bringing you more great Hearthstone content right here on 2P Press Start.